Imagine waking up one day and realizing that everything you thought you were, your beliefs, your desires, even your fears, was shaped by something outside of you. Society, family, expectations, tradition, layers upon layers of influence, molding you into a version of yourself that you never consciously chose. Now ask yourself, who are you when all of that is stripped away? Who is the real you beneath the weight of external expectations? Today we are diving deep into one of the most profound and unsettling questions of human existence: how to find and live your true self. This journey is not for the faint of heart, but for those who are ready to break free from illusions and step into their authentic existence. Nietzsche, one of the most provocative thinkers in history, argued that most people are not truly living. They are merely existing, following a script written by others. But he also offered a radical solution: the path to self-overcoming, to becoming who you truly are. And here's the most important part. By the end of this video, we will uncover the single most powerful realization that can liberate you from a false identity and lead you to your truest self. The final revelation will change how you see yourself and your purpose in this world. Let's begin. Nietzsche saw life as an arena of transformation. He rejected the idea that we are born with a fixed essence, a predetermined self that we simply have to discover. Instead, he saw the self as something fluid, something that must be created. He famously said, "Become who you are." But what does that mean? To answer that, we must first confront a harsh truth. Most people live in self-deception. They wear masks, not out of malice, but because they have been conditioned to believe that these masks are their true faces. Society rewards conformity. It praises those who fit in, and it punishes those who dare to step outside the norm. From childhood, we are taught to follow rules, to seek approval, to suppress our true thoughts and desires in favor of what is acceptable. The result? A life that feels hollow, unfulfilled, and disconnected from who we truly are. Nietzsche called this the life of the last man. The last man is the opposite of the true self. He is the one who avoids discomfort at all costs, who follows the herd, who seeks comfort and security over greatness and authenticity. He is content with mediocrity because striving for more is too painful, too risky. But the cost of this comfort is the loss of self. Now, here's where things get truly interesting. Nietzsche did not believe that we should simply find ourselves, as if our true self were hidden like a buried treasure. No, he believed that we must create ourselves. True authenticity is not about returning to some original state. It is about forging an identity through conscious effort, through struggle, through a process he called self-overcoming. Think about this. If you could strip away everything that was imposed on you, every belief, every limitation, every expectation, who would you be? Would you recognize yourself? Would you be free? Or would you feel lost? Most people fear this question because it forces them to acknowledge that their identity is not entirely their own. But this is precisely where the journey begins. Nietzsche challenges us to look at ourselves with brutal honesty. What parts of you are truly yours? And what parts have been given to you by others? Are you living according to your own values, or are you following a script written for you? And this leads us to the first major step toward living your true self, the destruction of false identities. Nietzsche believed that to become who we truly are, we must first go through a process of deconstruction. We must unlearn what we have been conditioned to believe about ourselves. This is not easy. It requires us to question everything: our morals, our ambitions, even our desires. Are they truly ours, or were they implanted in us by society, by our upbringing, by our fears? Here's a challenge for you. Take a moment and think about a deeply held belief you have about yourself. It could be something like, "I'm not creative," or "I have to be responsible for everyone else's happiness," or "Success means making a lot of money." Now ask yourself, where did this belief come from? Was it something you discovered through your own experiences, or was it something that was told to you so many times that you accepted it as truth? This process of questioning is painful, but it is also liberating. Nietzsche described it as a necessary destruction, burning down the old self so that something new can emerge. And that brings us to a crucial point. Destruction is not the end. It is only the beginning. Now, if you are feeling uncomfortable, good. That means you are beginning to break free. And in the next part, we will go even deeper. We will explore what comes after the destruction of false identities and how you can begin to construct a self that is truly yours. Because remember, finding your true self is not about going backward. It is about creating forward, and the most powerful insight is yet to come. The moment you begin to strip away the layers of false identity, something profound happens. You enter a space of uncertainty. This can be terrifying. If you are not the person you always thought you were, then who are you? If the beliefs and values that guided your life were not truly yours, then what do you stand for? This is where most people turn back. The fear of the unknown pulls them back into the comfort of illusion. But Nietzsche would tell you, this is precisely where true freedom begins. To step into the unknown is not to lose yourself, but to finally have the opportunity to become yourself. And here's where we introduce a concept that will change everything: the will to power. Nietzsche believed that at the core of human existence is a fundamental force: the will to power. Unlike other philosophers who believed that humans are primarily driven by a desire for pleasure or survival, Nietzsche argued that what we truly seek is power, but not power in the conventional sense, not dominance over others, not wealth or control. The will to power is something far greater. It is the drive to overcome, to create, to shape the world according to our own vision. It is the force that pushes us to grow beyond our limitations, to break through obstacles, to become something greater than what we were. And this is the key to finding and living your true self. If you want to know who you really are, look at what you are striving toward. Are you driven by a genuine desire to grow, to create, to overcome? Or are you merely seeking comfort, approval, and security? If your life is centered around avoiding pain and discomfort, then you are not living according to your true self. You are living according to fear. Now think about this carefully. What would your life look like if you fully embraced your will to power? If you no longer made decisions based on what others expect of you? If you pursued what truly ignites your spirit, regardless of the risks? This is what Nietzsche meant when he spoke of becoming the Übermensch, or the Overman. The Overman is not just someone who breaks free from societal expectations. It is someone who creates their own values, their own meaning, their own path. The Overman does not seek permission to exist. He does not ask, "Who am I allowed to be?" He declares, "This is who I am." But here's the catch. Becoming your true self requires sacrifice. It demands that you let go of old versions of yourself, even the ones that brought you comfort. It means facing the parts of you that are weak, that are conditioned by fear, that are still clinging to external validation. This is painful, but it is also necessary. Because only by shedding what is false can you create something real. Now ask yourself, what are you afraid to let go of? What part of your identity feels safe, but deep down, you know it is not truly yours? Is it a career path you chose to please others? A belief system that no longer resonates with you? A version of yourself that fits into society's expectations but suffocates your soul? Here's the truth. Your true self will never be found in comfort. It will never be found in the approval of others. It will only be found in the moments when you dare to stand alone, when you embrace the discomfort of becoming something new. And this leads us to a powerful realization. Your true self is not a destination. It is a continuous process. You do not find yourself once and for all. You must create yourself every single day. Now take a moment to reflect on this. If you were to wake up tomorrow and start living as your true self, without fear, without hesitation, what would change? What would you do differently? In the next part, we will take this concept even further. We will explore the mindset shifts and practical steps necessary to break free from external influences and step fully into your authentic existence. Because understanding the path is not enough. You must walk it, and the most powerful truth is still ahead. By now you understand that your true self is not something you find, it is something you create. You have seen how false identities are imposed upon you, how fear holds you back, and how the will to power is the force that can propel you toward authenticity. But how do you take this from theory to action? How do you begin the real process of living as your true self? This is where most people fail. They understand these concepts, they feel inspired, but when it comes to actually changing their lives, they hesitate. Why? Because change is painful. Growth requires loss. And Nietzsche was brutally honest about this. If you truly want to become yourself, you must be willing to endure suffering. But here's the secret. Not all suffering is the same. There is meaningless suffering, the kind that comes from living a life that is not yours, from denying yourself, from being trapped in a false existence. And then there is meaningful suffering, the kind that comes from struggle, from transformation, from breaking through your limitations. One destroys you, the other makes you stronger. Nietzsche called this process self-overcoming. It is the constant battle between who you were, who you are, and who you are becoming. It is looking at your weaknesses and deciding to rise above them. It is rejecting comfort when comfort means stagnation. It is choosing the hard path, not because you have to, but because you know that true growth only comes through challenge. Think about this. What have you been avoiding because it is difficult? What part of you are you afraid to confront? Maybe it is a dream you abandoned because it felt too risky. Maybe it is a truth about yourself that you have buried under excuses. Maybe it is a fear that has controlled you for years. Whatever it is, that is the battle you must fight. That is where your transformation begins. Now, let's get practical. How do you break free from false identity and step into your true self? Nietzsche's philosophy offers 3 key steps. First, destroy illusions. This means questioning everything. Every belief, every rule, every expectation that you have blindly accepted. Ask yourself, is this truly mine, or was it given to me? Stop living according to scripts that do not belong to you. If you are pursuing a goal, ask yourself, do I truly want this, or was I conditioned to believe I should want this? If you are living a certain way, ask, does this fulfill me, or am I just trying to fit in? Truth is uncomfortable, but it is also the only foundation for a real life. Second, embrace chaos. Nietzsche warned against the danger of seeking too much order, too much certainty. He saw chaos not as something to be feared, but as something necessary for creation. He wrote, "One must still have chaos in oneself to give birth to a dancing star." What does this mean? It means that if you want to transform, you must be willing to step into uncertainty. You must be willing to let go of control, to embrace the unknown, to take risks. The self you are meant to become will not emerge from comfort. It will be forged in the fire of chaos. And third, create values. This is the ultimate step. Most people inherit their values from others. They are told what is right and wrong, what success looks like, what happiness should be. But Nietzsche argued that the true individual does not accept ready-made values. He creates his own. This does not mean rejecting morality or meaning. It means defining them for yourself. It means deciding what truly matters to you and living according to those principles, even if they go against everything society has told you. This is what it means to become your true self, not just rejecting falsehood, but actively creating truth. Not just breaking free, but building something new. But here's the most important realization of all. This journey never ends. There is no final version of you. The process of self-overcoming is infinite. The moment you think you have arrived is the moment you stop growing. Nietzsche did not want us to reach a destination. He wanted us to become the kind of people who are always striving, always evolving, always pushing beyond who we were yesterday. Now, take a moment and reflect. Where in your life are you holding back? What part of you is still clinging to old definitions, old fears, old limitations? What would it look like if you fully stepped into your power? In the final part, we will reveal the ultimate truth, the one realization that will change how you see yourself forever. Because all of this has been leading to one final profound insight, and once you see it, you can never go back. Everything we have explored so far has led us to this moment, the ultimate realization, the single most powerful truth that will transform the way you see yourself forever. Are you ready? Here it is. There is no final version of you. You are not a fixed entity. You are a constant act of becoming. This is the truth that most people refuse to accept. They want certainty. They want a clear, final answer to the question, who am I? They want to believe that one day they will reach a point where they are complete, fully formed, perfect. But Nietzsche rejected this illusion. He understood that human beings are not static creatures. We are fluid. We are in motion. And the moment you stop evolving, you start dying inside. This is why Nietzsche rejected the idea of a single, eternal truth about the self. There is no true self waiting to be found, only a self waiting to be created, over and over again. The greatest mistake you can make is to believe that your identity is fixed, that your past defines you, that your failures limit you, that who you are today is the best you can ever be. Look at nature. Nothing in nature stays the same. A river is never the same river from one moment to the next. It is always flowing, always changing. The same is true for you. Every experience you have, every challenge you overcome, every new perspective you gain, it all shapes you, and that means that at any moment you have the power to transform. But here's the challenge. Most people are terrified of change. They cling to an identity because it feels safe. Even if they are unhappy, even if they feel trapped, they tell themselves, "At least I know who I am." But this is a lie. The person you were 5 years ago is not the person you are today. And the person you are today does not have to be the person you will be 5 years from now. So ask yourself, what outdated version of yourself are you still holding on to? What labels, beliefs, or limitations are you clinging to simply because they feel familiar? Nietzsche's challenge to us is simple but radical. Do not seek to discover yourself. Seek to create yourself every day, with every choice, with every challenge. And this brings us to one final profound question. If you had the power to completely reinvent yourself, who would you become? Because the truth is, you do have that power, right now, not in some distant future, not after you have everything figured out, not when it feels convenient, now. And that is the difference between those who live fully and those who merely exist. The ones who live fully do not wait for permission. They do not seek validation. They do not waste time trying to find themselves. They decide every single day who they are going to be. So the real question is not who am I, but who am I becoming? And that question is one you must ask yourself, not just today, but for the rest of your life. Now I want you to do something. Take a moment right now and write down the person you are committed to becoming, not the person society expects you to be, not the person your past tells you that you are, but the person you truly want to create. Because the moment you decide that, everything changes, and that is the path to true freedom. This is your life. This is your creation. Who will you become? Thanks for looking.